The story began in a courtroom where Sarah David stands in the defendant's box, pale but composed, amid murmurs in the courtroom. The case is presided over by His Lordship, Justice Harrison. Mr. Woods, the prosecutor, is seated on the left, and Sarah's husband, David, is seated in the audience, staring straight ahead. The bailiff calls the court to order as the judge continues.
You may be seated. We are here today to discuss the People versus Sarah David, who is accused of killing Lisa Daniels. In what way does the accused enter a plea? Guilty or not guilty?
Sarah hesitates for a moment before speaking clearly, clutching the stand nervously.
Not guilty, your lordship.
I would like to remind you, Mrs. David, that there is substantial evidence against you. In this court, telling the truth would be in your best interest. Admitting your guilt now could lead to a reduced sentence if you are found guilty. Lying will simply make the situation worse.
I understand your lordship. However, I am innocent of this offense. Lisa Daniels was not murdered by me. I loved my maid as much as I loved my children.
Sarah's voice quivers a little, but she does not back down. Judge Harrison stares at her for a long moment, his face stern. He pauses briefly, looking toward the court clock.
Very well. It is perfectly acceptable for you to continue pleading not guilty. But be advised, Mrs. David, those who conceal the truth face harsh consequences from the law. I will give us a half-hour break before we continue our conversation about this. I anticipate that you will have given your position considerable thought by the time we return.
Court, rise!
The gavel bangs, and murmurs erupt in the courtroom. Everyone stands as Justice Harrison leaves the courtroom. The recess begins, and Sarah sits down, head in her hands, while her husband David watches her from a distance. Still unsure of her innocence, he quickly walked outside with Pastor Gideon, their family pastor. The court environment was filled with her church members, talking in different manner. Many believes her innocence while some don't, including her husband. A lot had happened in the past that made it so. 30 minutes later, the courtroom reconvenes, with Justice Harrington returning to his seat. The air is tense as everyone waits for his next words.
Mrs. David, I must inform you of your future legal rights after giving it some more thought. This is not a case you can handle alone. Considering the seriousness of the accusations made against you, you must immediately obtain legal representation.
Yes, your lordship.
I am adjourning this case for 2 weeks. You have until this point to locate an attorney who will represent you for the duration of this trial. I anticipate that the defense will be ready to make their complete case when we get back together. Do you understand?
Yes, your lordship.
Very well then. There will be a 2-week adjournment of the court. Make sure you have legal representation by then, as you will be detained by the police until you are proven otherwise.
Court, rise!
The gavel bangs again. The courtroom erupts in murmurs once more as Sarah is escorted out by the bailiff. Judge Harrington exits the courtroom, and the crowd disperses slowly, still buzzing with anticipation for the next phase of the trial.